Bielema led the Wisconsin Badgers to a Champs Sports Bowl victory over Miami of Florida, and they finished the season with double-digit victories. They were 10-3. Scott Tolzien led the conference in pass efficiency at quarterback. John Clay, 1,500-plus yards, 15 touchdowns at running back. Nick Toon, their leading receiver, is back to go with tight end Lance Kendricks, who's an NFL prospect, and two offensive linemen who were first-team All-Big Ten. They were all returned. Gabe Karimi and John Moffitt, 204 rush yards per game. So this O-line really gets it done.
Yeah, the O-line is a beast. They're going to allow Clay and company and those wide receivers to flourish and make a lot of plays down the field. Also, you look at Tolzien's play in big games have to improve. If he can step up in big games and provide what they need out the passing game, then Wisconsin can go undefeated. So that's important for him to play well in those big games. And also, you look at expect a breakout year from wide receiver Kyle Jefferson. He should have a breakout year this season because they need that, because teams are going to roll coverage to Toon's side. You want to take that pressure off Toon.
Defensive side of the ball, 88 rush yards per game last year, but inexperienced D-line comes in only with one returning starter. Strong safety Jay Valai and cornerback Kevin Smith lead the secondary, while Chris Borland is up-and-coming linebacker. But can they get enough production from that front seven to keep that rush yards per game down?
Well, you want to keep an eye on cornerback Antonio Fernales. He's going to be a good player back there. Long line of solid secondary players for the Badgers, so keep an eye on him. And you mentioned up front the D-line is rebuilt. It's a lot of movement going around, but don't count them out because I think they're going to be solid up front. And you mentioned their linebackers are going to be great, so that's going to be key. It all depends on whether or not that front four can step up to play from week one all the way throughout the Big Ten.
Bringing you our Big Ten Conference awards and predictions. And let's start out with toughest schedule. I'm going to go with Indiana because they have 3 true home games in the Big Ten. They're at Ohio State, and in November they face the Gauntlet. They host Iowa. They're at Wisconsin. They play Penn State in Landover, Maryland, and then they're at rival Purdue. So I think Indiana's in for a tough slate.
Yeah, that's a tough slate. I'm going to go with Penn State because they have Alabama on the schedule. So you win Alabama, people are going to respect you more as a team coming out the Big Ten to play for national championship. So that's a big game for Penn State. So that's a tough matchup right there. Alabama #1.
A lot of solid recruits in the Big Ten. Ohio State does it every year. Michigan State got William Golson, the defensive lineman. Michigan got defensive back Cullen Christian and Devin Gardner. But I'm going with Penn State. They do it every year with the linebackers. Linebackers go out. Now new linebackers come in. Kyrie Fort comes in. Mike Hall and Dakota Royer at linebacker. Silas Red, a running back who's going to be good. And they bring in 2 quarterbacks to push Kevin Newsom, the young sophomore, who's going to start. Robert Bolden and Paul Jones. So I go with Penn State, best recruiting class.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Just on the strength of those 2 quarterbacks, Penn State has the best recruiting class in the Big Ten.
And the best pro prospect, I'm going to Michigan State. It's Greg Jones, linebacker. He's versatile enough to play inside or outside. And once next year comes around, this guy should be a first-round pick.
I always love aggressive linebackers. That's why I'm going with Greg Jones as well, too. A guy that's solid, tremendous leader, and got better every year. And so his best football is in front of him.
Team on the rise. I was thinking about picking this team, but I'm not going to. It's Michigan State. They're still young, a little on offense. They always have a good offensive line with D'Antonio. They got a great front seven. Questions in the secondary, but it's all coming together for D'Antoni. So I'm taking the Spartans as my team on the rise.
I like Michigan State as well, but I'm also going with Purdue. I think Purdue is headed in the right direction. A team that's totally on the rise. You're going to get their type of recruits in. The defense is going to be active and lively this year. So look for big things down the line from the Boilermakers.
And Offensive Player of the Year, wow, Terrell Pryor, the skills he has at quarterback. But I'm going to go with Ricky Stanzi. I'm really liking Iowa this year, and I think this is his senior year. Ball protection, as you mentioned, he's got a lot of experience. He's got 2 receivers, Marvin McNutt and Johnson Koulianos, with running backs, always have the offensive line. So I think Stanzi can put together a good year on offense.
I'm going to go with big play John Clay, running back out there in Wisconsin. He's going to get the bulk of the carries this year. So if Wisconsin wants to make a serious push for the national championship game, they're going to ride the legs of Clay. So expect him to have between 1,500 to 1,800 yards rushing this year.
Well, defensive player, we mentioned Greg Jones, but I'm sticking with Iowa. This guy, Adrian Claiborne, was a menace on the defensive line last year. So I'm taking him defensive end Claiborne. This guy also is going to be a high draft pick, and I think he's going to have the most success with Kirk Ferentz coaching him.
I'm going with Cameron Heyward out of Ohio State. I think he's going to put together the complete package this year and be unstoppable force on that defensive line for the Buckeyes. So look for Haywood to do tremendous things this year.
And now for our winners, I'm gonna stick with Iowa. Kirk Ferentz. I'm Wisconsin. I like too. Not sure about their defense. I love their offense. Ohio State. I think they have some holes, and I think they're just too many teams are going to be taking shots at them. So I like Iowa. Penn State, a little inexperienced at quarterback. Michigan State, I really like them. It was so close to taking them, but I'm going to go with Iowa because Ferentz, he loves to do it, and he's got to be mentioned as one of the best coaches in college football.
Yeah, I'm going with Iowa as well too. One reason Kirk Ferentz is a good coach, has the talent on the team, and they were this close last season. So Iowa's going to take that next step and play in a BCS game as the Big Ten champion. So I'm going with the Hawkeyes. And another thing, you don't want to play Iowa at night. Seems like when they play the night games, they always come up big. So don't play the Hawkeyes at night. If you're scheduling these guys, schedule them during the daytime, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, then you give yourself a shot. But anything after 7, forget about it. So I'm going with the Hawkeyes.
Very manageable schedule to get all the tough teams at home compared to the other ones. We like Iowa. For more, visit footballgameplan.com/NCAA or check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/footballgameplan.